My wife and I decided to move to Spain in December of 2020, in the middle of the COVID pandemic. At the age of 64, most people will find this a very difficult, if not an impossible goal. Some might even call it madness. We had to sell everything we own, including our house of 25 years, and now, 2.5 years later, we are living our dream and enjoying it immensely. But we could not have done it if it wasn't for the confidence and physical and mental stamina OMAD has given us. Here are more details about it. This is Juan Sarmiento. I have been in OMAD for almost 14 years and it changed my life. I now have a fitter body, increasing confidence, mental acuity, and more courage to pursue my dreams. In the US, we had a life that others might have considered both comfortable and interesting. Having already lived in several countries, my wife Ulla and I wanted to explore Europe while living in a country with a mild weather. Being a native Spanish speaker, Spain seemed ideal. Little did we know the challenges we would face and ultimately overcome. Now, I'd like to tell you about them as further evidence of the benefits of OMAD. But first, be sure to subscribe to this channel and give a like to this video. Don't forget to click on the bell to get notified of my videos to come. I have already told you how we drove from Southern California to Jalisco, Mexico, and then north again to Texas, Florida, New York, and all the states in between. For more details about that odyssey, check my previous videos. In New York, we had a couple of days to arrange a permit from the USDA to get our little dog Ginny admitted into Spain. This was a very stressful time because we had to consider the possibility of putting her to sleep if we could not travel with her. At that point, we had nowhere to stay, let alone anyone we could trust to leave Ginny with. Mind you, we had already been working on the permit for several days, starting in North Carolina. In the end, we decided that our credentials as veterinarians should be enough. We finally brought Ginny along with a last-minute signature from the North Carolina vet. We made it to Spain in June 2021. In Spain, we were received with open arms and smiles, and not just from the customs official who checked Ginny's paperwork. Spain is a beautiful country. Its people are kind and service-oriented. The only thing I don't like is the bureaucracy. It didn't take us long to discover that. As we landed in Madrid, we rented a car to travel to Marbella, where we had rented an Airbnb. I needed a chip for my cell phone to get directions with my Maps application. For comparison, in Mexico you can get such chips in a convenience store as you would a drink or a snack. It took us close to an hour in an electronics store and some paperwork to get the chip. It was the sign of things to come. Ulla is a Finnish citizen and thus a European Union citizen. Our understanding was that she only needed to walk into a national police station and declare that she wanted to become a resident of Spain. Shortly thereafter, as her spouse of 40 years, I could get my residency too, especially since we had a US pension and our nest egg from the sale of our home. In the end, it took her 3 months and me almost a year to get our residency papers. By the way, if you want to do something similar, I strongly recommend that you get your NIE, Número de Identificación de Extranjeros, at the Spanish consulate nearest you. Getting that number was very complicated for us, especially at the end of the pandemic. During those early days, we wanted to buy a car, but we had to wait until we had our NIE, and that took over a month. At several points during the process of obtaining my residence, I thought it had become impossible. I was under the threat of deportation. but I continue my effort with the faith that everything will turn out. Keep in mind that you more or less have to demonstrate the following. 1. That your marriage is valid in the European Union. 2. That you have health insurance. And 3. That you can support yourselves, among other things. Some documents needed to be translated to Spanish. Be sure to consult the Spanish consulate before you come here. Because we traveled during the pandemic, the consulate was closed and we could only get insufficient answers to our questions via email. It seemed a lot easier than it turned out to be. But a bigger issue was about to hit us. Now that I was resident, I had 6 months to get my driver's license, and that was a nightmare all its own. It took me a month to get ready for the theoretical exam. Although I am fluent in Spanish, the process was hard, with a huge, detailed manual to learn. The exam was full of trick questions. I leave a link in the comments below for the online course that I took. I passed with no wrong answers, but now I had only 5 months to get my license. I soon found out that even 5 months were insufficient. I got my first driver's license in Venezuela in 1974 and got licenses in Brazil, Canada, and several states in the United States. I had already driven through Europe in 2011 and had been driving in Spain for over a year. None of that experience had adequately prepared me for the practical exam. I took 3 driving lessons so that I could show the driving teacher that I did have the experience. Yes, you need the school in order to apply for the exam. They still failed me. Twice. I began to believe that there was an arrangement between the examiners and the school to get me to take more driving lessons. So, thinking out of the box, my wife and I decided to get our licenses in Finland. Not a bad idea since they accepted the swap of our California driver's license. We finally just got both our European driver's licenses from Finland this week. Now, at long last, we can fulfill our dream of driving throughout Europe. Needless to say, we have maintained our high spirits, confidence, and resilience. We had to go to Finland twice in the winter, and I had to become resident of that country too. We plan to go back and forth in the years to come. I also have a long story on how we found a new home to live permanently, but I will leave that for a future video.
So you may ask, what does this story have to do with OMAD? Everything. Without a doubt, moving to another country is complicated, to say the least. If you are young, you're fearless, and moving to another country may be quite the adventure. At my age, having good physical and mental stamina had made all the difference. OMAD has given both my wife and I the confidence to overcome all obstacles. Now that we are here in Spain to stay, we are thankful for our new life and all the places we can visit. Without any question in my mind, life is looking up. Thank you.